The drama just hit a whole new level. A leaked audio recording has surfaced of Jim Jones completely exploding during a backstage showdown, and the shocking part: his fury was aimed directly at Chrissy's own husband. The audio captures every heated word, every raw emotion, and fans are calling it one of Jim's most unhinged moments ever. This isn't just another argument. This could be the breaking point that changes everything between Jim, Chrissy, and the circle around them. The world of hip-hop and reality TV thrives on drama. But this latest twist has fans shaken to the core. A leaked audio recording has surfaced online, and it captures none other than Jim Jones in a full-blown backstage meltdown. The shocking part: his fury wasn't aimed at an enemy in the rap game or a rival on stage, was directed straight at Chrissy Lampkin's husband, in a confrontation that has everybody talking. Now, let's set the scene. Jim Jones has always been known as one of Harlem's most fiery personalities. He's never been one to bite his tongue. And if you've followed him over the years, from his Dipset days with Cameron and Joel Santana to his tumultuous love life with Chrissy, you know, Jim wears his emotions on his sleeve. But this wasn't just anger. This was raw, unfiltered rage, captured in a way that fans rarely ever get to hear. The leaked audio, which first made the rounds on a gossip blog before going viral on Twitter, allegedly came from a backstage altercation following a live performance. According to sources, Chrissy had been spotted in a heated conversation with another man, and Jim didn't take it lightly. Witnesses say the situation quickly escalated, and before long, voices were raised. Security was on edge, and someone, probably a crew member, hit the record button. What the audio captures is chilling. You can hear Jim shouting at the top of his lungs, calling out the man in question, referred to by some blogs as Chrissy's husband. The exact wording has fans divided, because some are taking husband literally, while others believe Jim was using it sarcastically, mocking the man's closeness to Chrissy as if he were acting like her man. Whatever the truth, the intensity of Jim's tone left no room for doubt. He was furious. One line in particular stood out to fans. Jim can be heard yelling, "You don't step in between me and my woman. You hear me? Don't ever play with me like that." The crowd in the background gasped, and from there, the argument spiraled into chaos. Security tried to calm things down, but Jim wasn't letting up. He kept pressing the issue, demanding answers, and warning the man not to cross lines that shouldn't be crossed, almost instantly. Clips of the audio flooded social media, sparking debates and conspiracy theories. Was Chrissy secretly married to someone else? Was Jim lashing out at a business associate who had gotten too close? Or was this simply another example of Jim's jealousy and protective nature clashing with Chrissy's independence? Fans couldn't decide. But one thing was clear: the leaked audio had struck a nerve. To fully understand why this moment is so explosive, we need to go back a bit. Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's relationship has always been complicated. From the early days of love and hip-hop, viewers watched Chrissy propose to Jim in a bold, unforgettable moment. For years, fans have questioned why the couple never officially tied the knot, despite being together for decades. Their love has survived ups and downs, public spats, and countless rumors, but it's always seemed like something was off. Now, with this leaked audio, those old questions are resurfacing. Could Chrissy really have another husband that Jim is confronting? Or was Jim simply using heated words in the middle of an argument, making it sound worse than it really was? Blogs and insiders have been digging deep. Some claim Chrissy has been linked to another man in recent months, a so-called business partner who's been spotted with her at events. Others believe this is all smoke and mirrors, that Jim was simply snapping at someone who overstepped boundaries backstage. Still, the language he used has people buzzing. Adding fuel to the fire, Chrissy herself has remained quiet. Normally, when drama like this hits the blogs, she claps back with her own statements or Instagram posts. But this time, silence. No denials, No explanations, nothing. And for fans, that silence is louder than any response she could have given. Meanwhile, LHHNY hasn't directly addressed the audio either. He's been posting his usual content, music promotions, lifestyle shots, and behind-the-scenes clips, but noticeably ignoring the elephant in the room. That hasn't stopped fans from flooding his comments with questions like, what really happened backstage? And who's Chrissy's husband you were talking about? Behind the scenes, however, sources say things are tense. According to one insider, Jim and Chrissy had a blowout fight after the incident, with Jim accusing her of disrespecting him by even allowing another man to get close enough to cause a confrontation. Chrissy, on the other hand, allegedly fired back that Jim's temper is always creating unnecessary drama, and that his inability to control himself is the real issue. This isn't the first time Jim's temper has landed him in hot water. Over the years, he's been caught in countless confrontations, whether with rival rappers, industry figures, or even close friends like Cameron. But when it comes to Chrissy, fans know his emotions run even deeper. She's been by his side through thick and thin, yet the relationship has been tested time and time again by rumors, insecurities, and outside influences. The leaked audio has reignited old discussions among fans about whether Jim and Chrissy's relationship is truly built to last. Some argue that Jim's passion is proof of his love, that he's willing to fight for her, no matter what. Others, however, see it as toxic behavior, suggesting that his jealousy and outbursts are signs of a deeper problem that neither of them has fully addressed. And let's not forget the role of the so-called husband. Who exactly was Jim exploding backstage? Some believe it was just a friend or business partner who got caught in the crossfire of Jim's temper. Others are convinced there's more to the story, that Chrissy really does have another man in her life, whether romantically or otherwise, who's causing tension behind closed doors, until someone comes forward with more proof. Fans are left speculating. Regardless, the impact of this audio leak can't be denied. In an industry where image is everything, Jim Jones now finds himself at the center of yet another scandal one. That doesn't just affect his career, but his personal life too. The question is, can his relationship with Chrissy survive this latest storm? Or is this the beginning of the end? For now, fans are glued to their screens, waiting for the next move. Will Chrissy finally break her silence? Will Jim address the audio head-on? Or will this story continue to spiral out of control, fueled by speculation, gossip, and the messy entanglements that have always defined their love story? One thing's for sure, this isn't just another backstage fight. This is the kind of scandal that can change everything. If part one set the stage for chaos, part two is where things truly spiraled out of control. Once the leaked audio spread online, the internet didn't waste a single second dissecting every single word Jim Jones said. Fans, bloggers, and even industry insiders replayed that clip over and over, analyzing not just Jim's tone, but also what it meant for his relationship with Chrissy and her so-called husband. Now, let's rewind to that backstage confrontation itself. Witnesses claim that before the blow-up, Jim was visibly tense. He had been pacing the corridor, talking on his phone in short, angry bursts. People around him said he looked ready to explode, and when Chrissy's husband showed up, it was like striking a match near gasoline. The leaked audio starts with muffled voices, and then suddenly Jim's voice cuts through like thunder. "Don't you ever play with me like that again?" You can literally hear objects being shuffled, like chairs moving and someone backing away. The tension was thick, and even without video, fans could feel the aggression through every second of that recording. Jim's anger wasn't just about Chrissy, it was about years of built-up frustration. Those who know him well say he's tired of being painted as the bad guy whenever Chrissy's name comes up. He's carried the weight of rumors, betrayals, and scandals. But this time, the presence of her so-called husband crossed a line that Jim wasn't willing to ignore. In the audio, Jim accuses Chrissy's husband of embarrassing him in front of the streets and playing him like a fool. These phrases had people online speculating what exactly did Chrissy's husband do? Some claim he confronted Jim earlier in the night, challenging his authority and throwing subtle jabs that only fueled Jim's rage. Others believe Chrissy herself may have said something that made... But here's where it gets even messier. At one point in the recording, Jim can be heard saying, "I built everything and y'all trying to tear it down with lies and games." That one line shook fans to their core. Was Jim talking about his career, his relationship with Chrissy, or the empire he's been building for years alongside his close circle? The ambiguity only made the conversation louder online. Meanwhile, Chrissy's husband didn't stay silent. Though his voice was harder to hear in the recording, he can be heard pushing back saying, "You don't own her. You don't control her. She's her own woman." That statement lit the internet on fire because, for years, critics of Jim and Chrissy's relationship have argued about control, commitment, and whether Jim ever truly respected Chrissy's independence. Fans quickly split into two camps. On one side, people were siding with Jim, saying he had every right to snap after everything Chrissy's put him through. On the other hand, many believed Chrissy's husband was the only one speaking truth to power, standing up for a woman who's been loyal for decades but never fully respected. The aftermath of the leak wasn't just online chatter. It started affecting business. Sources close to Jim claimed he canceled appearances and pulled back from certain projects in the days following the audio leak. They said he needed space to breathe and didn't want to deal with the circus surrounding his name. But at the same time, others claimed he was privately planning his next move, determined not to let this situation drag him down. Chrissy, for her part, stayed unusually quiet. No Instagram lives, no cryptic captions, just silence. And that silence spoke volumes. Fans speculated that she was torn between defending her husband publicly and protecting whatever was left of her bond with Jim. Some even suggested she was staying quiet because she knew more leaks were on the way, leaks that could further damage her reputation. And let's not forget, the entertainment industry feeds off scandals like this. Within hours, other celebrities were chiming in, some offering support, others throwing shade. Even reality TV producers saw dollar signs, with whispers that certain networks were reaching out to Jim and Chrissy separately, hoping to capture the fallout on camera. The drama was so raw, so real, that it practically guaranteed ratings. But the biggest question fans had after part 2 of this saga was simple. Where does Jim go from here? This wasn't just a fight, it was a public declaration of war. The audio painted a picture of a man who's tired, frustrated, and ready to cut ties, even if it means walking away from Chrissy for good. By the time the second day of discourse rolled around, hashtags like hashtag #JimVs Chrissy and hashtag Backstage MELTDOWN was trending across social media. Memes flooded Twitter, with some mocking Jim's temper and others painting Chrissy's husband as a secret hero. Every angle of the story was exaggerated, twisted, and reposted until it became impossible to separate fact from speculation. And yet, deep down, one thing was crystal clear. This was more than entertainment. It was a man's breaking point, being exposed for the world to hear. As we head into part 3, the fallout only grows bigger, with shocking revelations about what really triggered Jim's explosion and whether Chrissy's loyalty lies with him or with her husband. The leaked audio had already set the internet on fire. But the true fallout from Jim Jones' backstage explosion was just beginning. If part 2 left people wondering where Jim would go from here, part 3 is where the deeper truths, hidden agendas, and explosive emotions finally came to the surface in the days following the leak. Multiple insiders started coming forward with their own accounts of what really happened backstage that night. One source close to the venue revealed that Jim and Chrissy's husband had been circling each other for weeks, their tension boiling beneath the surface. The backstage confrontation wasn't random, it was the culmination of a long brewing rivalry. The leaked audio gave the world only a slice of what was said. What people didn't hear, at least not yet, was that before Jim screamed those infamous words, Chrissy's husband allegedly accused him of being all talk and no action, a man who only leveraged his fame while disrespecting the people closest to him. According to the source, that comment is what made Jim completely lose it. And here's where things get even more complicated. More audio clips began surfacing online, shorter, grainier, but just as shocking. In one, you can faintly hear Chrissy's voice trying to intervene, pleading with both men to calm down. Fans latched onto this instantly, with some praising Chrissy for trying to defuse the situation, while others mocked her, saying she was stuck in the middle of chaos of her own. Making by now, Jim's circle was in full damage control mode. His friends and associates started posting cryptic messages online, things like, "Real men don't fold and don't believe everything you hear." But the more they tried to contain the fire, the more fuel was added to it. Bloggers, YouTubers, and gossip pages were running wild, spinning every little detail into a headline. For Chrissy, the situation was no less brutal. She was caught between two men who both claimed to care about her, but who were using her name in a power struggle that the whole world could hear. Some fans argued that Chrissy had put herself in this position by refusing to set clear boundaries over the years. Others felt sympathy, saying she was unfairly caught in the crossfire of male ego and pride. The true breaking point, however, came when Jim finally addressed the situation in public. During an impromptu appearance on Instagram Live, he didn't deny the audio. Instead, he leaned into it, saying, "Yeah, I said what I said. Ain't nobody gone play with me, backstage or anywhere else. I built my legacy from nothing, and I ain't letting nobody tear it down with lies." That moment split fans even further. To some, it was Jim doubling down and showing his raw authenticity, something they've always loved about him. To others, it was proof that he was too hot-headed to ever handle conflict in a healthy way. The live stream ended abruptly, but not before Jim hinted that people close to him had been betraying him for months. That vague comment sent speculation into overdrive. Could he have been referring to Chrissy herself? Or was it Chrissy's husband pulling strings behind the scenes? Some fans even suggested that the leak wasn't an accident at all, but part of a bigger setup to expose Jim at his most vulnerable moment. Meanwhile, Chrissy's husband wasn't staying quiet. Days later, he allegedly told a small circle of friends that Jim needed to accept that his time was up, claiming that Chrissy deserved better and that he wasn't afraid to stand up to a man like Treese. And we all like that. Once that comment made its way online, it reignited the firestorm all over again. As the dust continued to settle, more revelations began surfacing. Several people close to the situation claimed that this wasn't the first time Jim and Chrissy's husband had clashed. In fact, they allegedly had a private altercation weeks earlier at a social gathering, where tempers flared but cameras weren't around to capture it. If true, the backstage showdown was just the tip of the iceberg. By now, fans weren't just entertained, they were deeply invested. Hashtags like hashtag Chrissy caught, hashtag Jim V's husband, and hashtag who leaked it trended daily. Think pieces emerged about male pride, toxic relationships, and the blurred lines between love and loyalty. Every new clip, every rumor, every insider claim kept people glued to the story, but behind the viral drama was a man who seemed truly wounded. Those close to Jim say the outburst wasn't just about anger, it was about betrayal. They described him as someone who felt backed into a corner, his personal life exposed and mocked while people he trusted stood by silently. One friend said, "Jim's hurt more than he's mad. People think it's just yelling, but that's pain." As for Chrissy, whispers suggest she's been quietly trying to repair the damage behind closed doors. She hasn't chosen a side publicly, but insiders say her loyalty may ultimately determine whether Jim and her husband's feud gets resolved or escalates into something even darker. The entertainment industry, course, sees opportunity in all of this. Reports say reality TV producers are already in talks to use this scandal as the centerpiece for a new season storyline. Cameras want to capture every uncomfortable dinner, every heated confrontation, every moment of awkward silence between Jim, Chrissy, and her husband. Whether or not they agree to let the cameras back in could be the ultimate deciding factor in how this saga plays out by the end of this chapter. One thing is crystal clear. The leaked audio wasn't just a moment of rage, was a glimpse into years of tension, mistrust, and unresolved conflict finally boiling over. Jim Jones may have exploded in that backstage corridor, but what came out of his mouth? Revealed far more than just anger. It revealed the cracks in his relationships, his frustrations with loyalty, and his unwillingness to be disrespected in any capacity. The question now is, what happens next? Does Jim cut ties with Chrissy once and for all? Does Chrissy's husband continue to push back and assert himself in the public eye? Or does this messy triangle somehow find a way to calm the storm? No matter what, one thing's for sure, this saga has changed everything. And as fans continue to debate, replay, and speculate, the world waits for the next chapter. Because if there's one lesson we've learned from this leaked audio, it's that the truth always finds a way out, and when it does, it leaves no one unscathed. This story proves once again, nothing stays hidden forever. Jim's rage, Chrissy's silence, and her husband's bold defiance just flipped their world upside down. But trust me, this is far from over. More leaks, more drama, and more shocking revelations are already brewing behind the scenes. So, what do you think? Was Jim justified in snapping? Or did Chrissy's husband finally put him in his place? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear every take. And don't forget, if you're living for these explosive updates, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the next jaw-dropping twist.